is the connection between the law of attraction and prayer?
Well, and I haven't gone back and listened to it again. My life has been a whirlwind lately, but as best as I can remember and comprehend it, he was saying that prayer is the law of attraction because, there's the ask and you'll receive, right?
Right.
So you're asking the universe or God or whatever your beliefs are. You're putting out the request for what it is that you want. Well, first of all, you've decided what you want. Then you put out the request for what you want.
Right, which is the ask and you shall receive part.
Right.
Putting out the request.
And then here is where he flips over to how Andrew Womack prays. When Andrew Womack, I swear, Andrew Womack is like the best teacher I've ever had on the law of attraction, and he doesn't even believe in it. I didn't find that funny. But
well, you don't have to believe in a law for it to be real. It just
no, you
is.
don't.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And see, he was doing all the right things, and what he was doing was he defined what it was that he wanted, and then he asked God. He believed in God, so he asked God. And then he would see what it was. He would see himself having what it was he asked for.
So that goes along with like using your imagination. You're picturing it. You're living it. You're feeling it within.
And see, that's what I was going to add to it. He would feel it. The way he worded it was, you believe that you already have it and you act like you already have it, and so you feel like you already have it and you live as though you already have it, what you've asked for. Well, my God, that is pure law of attraction.
Right, it is.
But he was using it with like Bible verses to back up all that stuff and that kind of thing. Like Jesus say to the mountain and it'll do it. And, so you got to speak it. Right. You got to see it. You have to believe it, all that stuff. So it's really funny because basically what he was doing was using the law of attraction and just putting different name tags on things. Mm-hmm. And so what we would call meditation, he was calling prayer.
Right.
And so he was...
I can see the connection there, yeah.
He was accessing his alpha mind. He was, in his subconscious mind, he was accessing that. And he was communicating with his higher self and all of that. He just put totally different terminology on it. He put religious terminology on it because that just boggles my mind that he somehow found the law of attraction in scriptures. What?
Well, that makes perfect sense to me because, okay, the Bible was written as a guide. And a lot of people claim it's the love letter from God to us how to live. Now, of course, it's been changed, and a lot taken out, everything selected that wanted to be in, so it's really hard to say what originally should have been in it. But if it's a love letter written from our Creator saying this is how to live, to have the best life possible because I love you, would that not make sense? A law of attraction would be ideal. I mean, saying to us, you can have anything you want. Just follow these laws of the universe. I mean, that's perfect. I couldn't think of a better way that a loving parent, God, whatever, could give to his children.
Well, and I think a lot of the message of Jesus is pretty pure and law of attraction. Now they granted screwed up part of that too, but a lot of what he said was, but it still boggles my, because there's so much go kill all these people and do this and do that, just so much crazy stuff, especially in the Old Testament, just so much crazy stuff in there. And Paul and some of his
when Jesus came though, the Old Testament kind of got wiped to the side, and Jesus was like, look, I'm here to show you the way. And Jesus didn't say, go fight this war, go fight that war, go kill this person.
Oh no,
go
he
kill
was
that
like,
person.
love your enemy, right?
Yeah.
But my point is,
which goes along with the law of attraction, because hating someone just hurts you, so it all goes hand in hand.
right. But my point is that modern day Christians still study the Old Testament as well as the New Testament, and
well, it's good
so
for history, maybe.
Yeah.
If you want to study it and say, hey, this is history, great. But I don't think you should try and live by it.
Right. But what blows my mind is that somehow Andrew Womack read that book and he was able to pull out of it the law of attraction and make it work for himself.
But he didn't know what he was doing.
He
just pulled out what he knew and didn't know the name of it, called it prayer or whatever, and yeah.
And I don't personally know of anyone, Louise Hay included, I don't know of anyone who has been as successful with the law of attraction as Andrew Womack. That man has blown my mind. And again, he did it not calling it that. He did it calling it prayer and believing and with religious terminology. Just blows my mind that he was able to do it, but he did.
Yeah.
And
I love that part, that he put the God part into it, because I do believe in God and I love God. So I love that he was able to put that into that perspective.
Well, he's the first person I ever remember hearing say, God loves you and he's not mad at you.
Yeah. That's because churches don't teach you that. Churches want you to think God hates you and is mad at you. One screw up, you're in the pits of the fire, It's like...
Well, remember, I was 18 years old and told by a pastor that I was destined to go to hell and there was no hope for me.
Yeah.
At 18.
Yeah. Craziness. There's a lot of craziness in the world.
There is. And so he was the first person I heard ever say that, and just, I don't know how to explain it. When I heard him say, what the good news actually is that God loves you and he's not mad at you.
Oh, okay.
For me, I was like, it just rang true inside of me. It was like, how when you hear truth, you just go, oh, I know that's true. That's what happened when I heard him. Yeah. And so I was hooked on him from that moment on. It was like, okay, I know he's speaking truth about something. I couldn't put it together with his terminology, but I knew that he had something that I wanted. Mm-hmm. And it's just been really recently that I've begun to realize he has exactly what I want. He has the ability to use the law of attraction for the good of all, not just, giving himself great stuff. That's not what his attractions are even about. Right. His attractions, the things that he's attracted into his life, the majority of them have been more a global vision, more like for masses. I mean, he wanted to find a way to tell the masses that God loves you and he's not mad at you. Oh my God, I mean, can you think of a higher purpose that's for the good of all? I can't. And so I was just taken by him. And so anyway, I followed him all that time, listened to absolutely everything I get my hands on. Oh, that was the other thing, is that everything he has was offered free. And he caught a lot of flack because, a lot of those evangelists and religious leaders, they don't want to do nothing for free. It's all about getting money. Yeah. And they all gave him hell. I mean, really raked him over the coals for giving away everything free. And he said, truth should never have a price tag on it. It should be free. There are people that need this message that don't have money. I'll be blessed because you can't outgive God, and so I'm going to keep giving it away for free. So he always has. He has always offered everything for free. And he's like filthy rich.
Yep.
It didn't hurt him any. He had, and that's another thing, is that
that's a very strange term, filthy rich.
I know, right?
Isn't that like just a bizarre way to describe riches?
Well, it shows the mindset that we have in this culture that money is evil.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
Whereas, and that's something I'm trying to get into the core of my being, is that money is not evil.
No.
You can perform evil with it.
Right.
But
you
it
can
is
perform
not
evil
evil.
without money.
Yeah, exactly. And you can perform massive good with money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's perfect example of our culture.
Right. It's ridiculous because money in itself is great. I mean, money's good. I love money. I like having money. I like being able to pay my bills. I like being able to eat, you know.
Help others.
I like being able, if someone comes to me and I see they need something, I like being able to provide and say, here, go get it, you know.
Right. Exactly.
I don't see any evil in any of that.
But it's just our... Ooh, you lagged. I'm sorry, what? You froze for a second, and I thought you would stop talking, but you were actually frozen. So what did you say?
I think you caught everything. The last thing I said was,
Okay.
I don't see any evil in it.
Oh, okay. That must have been the part that I missed then.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
And, you know, see, I watched Jess and Elizabeth, and I remember thinking, God, money is evil, and that's just something I never want to have. And so I've had to really work hard at reversing that, because
what you did was you took their personalities and transferred their personalities onto money.
Onto the money, exactly. Yes, that's what I did. And so I've had to work really hard at trying to separate that. No, it's not money that's evil. It's them, not them, that them are evil. That's not what I meant. It was what they did with it.
Right.
Because they used it for power.
Yes.
And Elizabeth, I saw her use her wealth, and she had a lot of it her whole life. Go figure. But I saw her use her wealth to manipulate people, to consider herself better than people. And, you know, she did that to the very end.
Right, but that's not the money.
No, that's not money. That's her.
That was her that did that.
Right. And see, then you can flip it over and go, well, and I don't know that this is a non-argumentative example, but Michael Jackson, in spite of a lot of people hating him, he spent seriously tons of money helping villages and hospitals, and you know, and it wasn't publicized. He didn't do it for pats on the back. It wasn't publicized. He didn't. God, I'm probably gonna ruffle some fur here, but Princess Diana took cameras with her to a lot of the stuff that she did that was good. Now, maybe she did a lot that she didn't take them. Maybe she took them for the purpose that, here, let me show the world what you can do with money. I don't know. I can't judge that. I wasn't there. I don't know. But he didn't publicize it. He didn't put it on TV, and he very quietly did an awful lot that was good with money. And in spite of all the accusations against him, I don't know what he did or didn't do. I wasn't there. But even his mansion that he lived in, and his carnival thing, his state fair, whatever that, it was the rides and all that stuff that he had, that Neverland, whatever it was called.
Right.
Even that was beyond himself. He didn't build that just for himself. I mean, he built that, and I did not know this till after he died, but there was a lot of times that homes and hospitals and hospices, they brought floods of children with cancer and AIDS and all kinds of, and they were turned loose. Everything was free to them. at his expense, hello,
Yep.
on what he built.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are a lot of examples of using money for compassion and using it in a good way, and things like that.
Yep.
I wish I had been exposed to those as a child. And I wish I had known to look for that, because what I saw, I just remember thinking, I don't want any part of this. I just don't, because these people are miserable and they're doing terrible things with their money. I didn't have a broad enough thinking to realize it was just them, their own little dysfunctional thing, and that actually reality was far beyond that. But I realize it now, late in the game, but I realize it.
Yeah. And you can just turn that thinking around now that you know.
Yeah.
There's no reason to keep hold of the old. Let it go and bring in the new thinking.
So Andrew Womack is beautifully rich. Gloriously rich.
I like Paul Santisi.
I do too. Oh my God. Now there's another person that has made a massive impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like him.
And seriously, he's doing a lot of it for free. He's putting it for free on YouTube.
Yeah, he does sell his coins and stuff on the side. And he tells you straight out, he's like, look, I'm offering this. If you're interested, okay. If not, okay also. It doesn't matter to me,
That's right.
It's up to you. I don't care either way.
Well, that's one of the beautiful things about Paul Santisi, is that he doesn't see the people as his source for what's coming to him. He doesn't see it that way. So he really doesn't give a rat's butt if you get it or not, because you're not his source.
Is how uplifted he is. He talks to you, and in one of his videos I was watching, he says, I'm going to say things to you that you may never have heard about yourself in your life. I'm going to say things to you that are truth. And then he goes on to say, you're awesome. You're wonderful. You're beautiful. You're smart. And I started thinking about that the one night, and I was like, I wonder how many people have never heard somebody say to them, you're beautiful. Yeah. You're wonderful. You're so smart. You're freaking awesome. How many people in the world, it probably would be easier to count the ones in the world who did ever hear those words, because I don't think most people ever hear them.
No.
That's sad, but I think it's true.
It is. It is. And it goes along with like the Andrew Womack thing about you're loved and God's not angry with you. It's a message of you have worth. They both have the same message. You have worth. You have value. You are worth something. And talk about good news. And no, we, at least in our generation coming up, I don't know of anybody that was raised that way. It was you're awful, you're terrible, you're rotten.
Yep.
Had plenty of that.
You're stupid. You're never going to be anything. You're going to burn in hell.
My God, yes, I know. And so what a beautiful message. And again, just like Andrew, he's doing it for free. He puts it on YouTube. Now, whether his channel has grown to where he is now a paid partner by YouTube, I think is irrelevant and doesn't make any difference. I hope it is too. Because when he started, he wasn't. And he just put it out there for free for people.
Yeah.
And, universe has just guided him. Same way as Andrew Womack. Andrew Womack's life has been kind of like Paul's. He took a step in the right direction, and the universe just went, okay, here we go. Shoo!
Yeah. I think that's what happens. I think once you get on the right course and you get your thoughts right and you get your feelings right and you're grateful and thankful for things, I think it just takes off and you get it. It's like kind of like a reward.
And that's part of what this book says, is once you start in the right direction, the universe is just going to sweep you up and off you go. It kind of like takes on its own life, and it just takes you where you're going. You get in the flow, and it's like jumping in a river that's the current is flowing. Once you're in it, you're going with the current.
Get in that undertow.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Paul Santisi is amazing. He really is. And
Well, he makes you smile. Like you just feel good. It's like by the time I'm done listening to him, whether I'm listening to one of the 5-minute ones or one of the hour ones, it makes you smile. I like that. I like that feeling.
yeah. Well, it's a feeling of I have worth, I have purpose, I'm here for something, I'm not just in the way, and you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I like the ones like the one I was listening to last night. He ended it with, he goes, I love you. And I was just like, okay, yeah.
And you can feel it.
Uh-huh.
You know that he really does.
Yeah, he
I mean,
cares
he's not
about people.
just, yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
Yep.
Right. So cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, Paul Santisi is a really good example of that.
Yeah, he's my favorite right now. I like him.
I do too.
And I say right now, like I'll always like him,
Yeah, yeah.
but I might stumble across someone later, that I might be listening to a little more. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I think that different people minister to us. That's religious terminology. Different
But it's a
people
good word.
have the message we need to hear
Yeah.
at different times.
Right.
It's like Eckhart Tolle. Oh my God. I mean, I was so into him for a couple of years, it wasn't even funny. I mean, because at that time he had the message I needed to hear. I needed that message, and he had it.
Well,
And
that goes along with the teacher will come when the student is ready. So.
exactly. And we're constantly changing teachers.
We are.
And I think it's because we need like a well-rounded education on this planet. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just like when you go to.
You can't just listen to one person and think you know everything. You get
Well,
that be
that's
like reading one book and saying, I know it all. You can't
right.
do it.
Well, like in schools, you've got science, and then you've got math, and then you've got English. And I think we just have different teachers that are teaching us the different things that we need at the time. And I still love Eckhart Tolle dearly, and I still listen to him every once in a while. But I mean, I grasped his message and started living it, and then I guess from there, the universe sent in Paul Santisi, and off we went.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
One thing I have realized though is when I'm listening to, say, Paul, and he takes you on the guided meditations and the different things, and you're getting into it, you need to make sure that you are in a place where you're not going to be disturbed, because
yeah.
I am to the point now, I get fearful and anxious prior to starting, because so many times the kids have burst into the room, like right at that critical point, where you're going down, 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 and then you're so relaxed and everything, then all of a sudden the door flies open and someone's screaming, and it just like jerks you up so fast, and you're like, what's going on type thing. And like I told you, I think the one night my heart started skipping beats. I was like, so now I'm very careful to make sure either they're asleep or I tell them in advance, do not come bursting into the room. So
That's interesting because Andrew Womack, in his religious terminology, talked often about hiding in the closet, literally. Literally, he hid in the closet, from his wife and his children. He went in his closet. Mm-hmm. He took Jesus literally and shut the closet door and would take a flashlight and would seclude himself. And I mean, it was a known thing, you don't disturb him when he's in the closet. But interesting, because it's kind of the same thing, just, I know, it's different wording. So that's interesting, though. That seems to be, now I remember I do remember at one point, because Andrew was talking about get in your closet, get your time alone, because Jesus said that. That's where it came from. Jesus said that, go off by yourself, get yourself alone, close yourself in. Then talk to your father. Okay.
Right.
Well, he was saying, look, if you're a mom and you're chasing after a bunch of kids, you can't go get in your closet. Your kids might get themselves injured.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him saying that there's like a special grace or something like that that like carries people in that kind of a position along, because literally they're just not able to do that.
Right.
And he was saying, you know, you're not doing anything wrong, you're not less than. I understand that you can't do that. You will, one day you will be able to, but at this time, a different kind of grace carries you through this period where you can't do that. And I just thought that was amazing that he had that much understanding, especially as a man, that he had that much understanding that not everybody can do that. Not everybody's in a position where they can do that.
Right. Maybe you don't have a closet. Who knows?
Right. And, you know, back in the day, I remember when I was young, families often slept in the same room, in the same bed. There was no other place to go. You were like with everyone, the grandparents, the children, the parents, and everybody was thrown together all of the time. And there wasn't anybody. Maybe if you went to the bathroom, you had private time. Go out to the outhouse, but beyond that, I mean, they really didn't have private time with themselves. That kind of, you know.
Mm-hmm. Private time's good. It's good to be able to have, even if it's just a few minutes, you know, where nobody's talking to you, nobody's bothering you, nobody's wanting something from you, you know, and you can just breathe and just clear your mind for a few minutes, you know, just to regroup and say, yeah, it's okay, you know. It's good to have that.
My saving grace with Anna has always been that she sleeps at night. That has always been my saving grace, is that she sleeps at night. So, very, very rare that I don't at least have time to myself in the middle of the night. And I drift in and out of sleep a lot. And so I call that the between time. And that's where I seem to get my most nourishment for my soul, you know, is during that time. Because like during the day, I mean, there are days that I can have time to myself. There are days that I can't. You sit down for 5 minutes. So that comes and goes. But at least at nighttime, I am blessed in that I always have at least a little bit of time at night. Because typically I don't have it in the morning. She wakes me up. Yeah.
I don't know. I think right now life's pretty good. You know, I look at back even, I don't know, 2-3 years ago. Compared to that, life's wonderful right now, so.
Oh my God, I so agree. I know. And it keeps getting better and better and better. I am in awe over that because I think about how things were not very long ago. And now, I not only can I say that financially now I can say that health-wise, because now that I have the hydrogen peroxide therapy, I also see it in my health, because whatever remnants I had left, which I'm sure was plenty, of the chronic fatigue syndrome, I'm telling you, it is just gone, because I don't have any of the symptoms anymore. I slept 2 hours the other night, and although I knew that I was tired, I knew that I wasn't feeling my most chipper, but I wasn't miserable, and I wasn't like exhausted. And used to, I'd sleep all night and still be exhausted when I woke up.
Yeah.
I don't have those issues anymore. And look, last night I was up real late again. The neat thing about last night, I was going to tell you this. Remember, I told you, just 1 minute, sweetheart. I was wide awake when we were talking, remember? And as soon as I put everything down, you know, shut down electronics as far as, you know, I wasn't doing Facebook or Twitter or any of that kind of thing. I just put on Marcus Rothkrantz. I put him on. I was listening to a lecture that he did. Girl, I was asleep in no time. I mean, I no more got comfortable than boom, I was asleep.
Awesome.
And I had been wide awake.
I know. You said, I don't know if I can even go to sleep. I'm so wide awake. So.
But I wasn't like caffeine high, full of that kind of energy. It was just,
Right.
I was completely alert and wide awake. But as soon as I got still and put on Marcus, boom, I was gone immediately. I think I heard like a couple of sentences and I was out. That's amazing.
That's good.
And then I slept the whole night until Anna woke me up this morning. So that is really cool. I don't remember ever having anything like that before, where I was functional and alert and awake and managed to fall asleep. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go for at least a minute. Do we want to just stop here for now, or
I'll pause
what do
this
we want
so
to
you
do?
come back.
Okay, I'll be right back.